we take corporate fraud into consideration, we already know that 50% of corporate fraud happens from within. Why isn't things like blockchain being used internally within the business?
You could definitely, and today many companies have started like recording, for instance, their financial transaction into the blockchain.
Over 50% of any cyber threats happen from within. Why is it organizations aren't using something like blockchain? Also, when we look at corporate fraud, why is it that the auditors aren't demanding for blockchain to be used for some of their clients? Could that not eliminate some of those?
It could have, definitely. And if you wouldn't have, for instance, you gave a very good example that if they lost 2 billion, incredible. In the businesses I managed, okay, it wasn't like $10 billion companies, but even $100 euro pound would have been tracked easily if you really put all this, everything into the systems. But I mean, when you have humans, you always have a way of like getting away from the, let's say the regular practices. And if it would have been recorded properly, and if the blockchain would have been used to that transaction, then you could have also see what happened. Because in the blockchain case, one of the key things is that you can keep a historical record of what happened to whatever is you're doing. And when beside that, which is a timestamp, the same time, you can see who has done it. So then, which means that it brings not only the transparency, it brings also liability on people who are doing that. And at the end, you can keep them liable, you can keep them responsible for it. Therefore, you're right, it could have been used. I'll give you a very interesting use case for a blockchain, goes what you have just raised, which is to NGOs. The NGOs which we give money to go give it to, let's say, the poor people, or protecting animal rights, or protecting the environmental rights. Once you put their entire record onto the blockchain, all their transaction, then you can avoid this common complaints coming in the charities for inefficiencies or corruption. And it can help the donors to use the blockchain promoted by these NGOs to see where their donations is going. And they can keep these NGOs liable for this. So to your point, same goes with the investors. If I'm giving my money to a company that I want to track, then if everything is recorded on the blockchain, which is accessible by me, which is nobody can change it once it's put into, then I can track it. So from NGOs to see where your donation is going and avoiding any corruption or inefficiency, all the way to the investment processes, when the records are kept on the blockchain, you can not only, you don't only see it, understand it, also you can keep people responsible for or liable for.
Sometimes you can have a high level of intelligence and you can get it wrong, not see the gap. It doesn't matter how much money you've made, because, you know, I sometimes speak to people and they say, look, you know, I've been very successful up until now and I've been lucky. The world that we're going into, you need more than just luck. Even if you've got all the money in the world, that's great, but it just takes that one bet that you get wrong. It's like going to the horses and betting on the wrong horse.
It's like energy management. Like we use energy like electricity, we use almost everywhere. That's in our house, even now in our cars. But we all know that energy management has been a highly centralized industry for many, many years. But with the blockchain usage, energy producers and users today cannot buy directly, but with the blockchain, they can. And they can just, in fact, like contribute their excess energy back to the grids where it can be used or sold to other parties. And today, once you have one energy company, then that cannot be done. Another interesting use case I can maybe mention is the music industry. There are today, you can look at it, Google it, like blockchain startups coming, many of them, with the ways that musicians getting paid directly from their fans instead of having third parties or any companies involved. And with the smart contracts, which blockchain completely provides, they can solve licensing issues, and they can just create catalog of songs with their respective creators. And therefore, like today, you have to go through many parties to access, I don't know, your favorite musician's songs. In the future, with the blockchain being part of our day-to-day operation, that will never happen. You can deal with the musician directly, but based on the principles defined in the smart contract. And then another example I just gave is the energy. You can even buy in UK an energy from France in a competitive price if both parties are involved. And by a person in Paris, their access maybe solar created energy and use it in your London house by using the blockchain technology and paying them directly without any third parties involvement. These are all going to be, I'm talking a little more futuristic, but this is what blockchain promises to bring: elimination of the third parties, the middleman, and bringing complete transparency into any transaction, and more importantly, building a trust between the parties involving in any business.
Guys, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for conversations just like this.